One day the same fire they played with will burn them alive. That's not revenge, my friends. That's karma wrapped in silence. See, the world has this funny way of turning tables when you least expect it. The ones who thought you'd never rise again, the ones who dismissed your worth as if it was nothing, they'll one day choke on the smoke of their own regret. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a flame. You once burned bright, giving warmth, light, and energy to someone who stood close to your fire. But instead of appreciating it, they walked away, thinking they'd find something warmer, brighter, better. And what did you do? You tried to chase after them, thinking if you gave a little more heat, they'd come back. But here's the truth. Every time you chased, your flame dimmed. Every time you begged to be seen, you gave them the power to forget how valuable your light was. It's funny, isn't it? People only realize how cold the world is once the fire they took for granted is gone. Seneca once said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." You've been suffering, my friend, not because they left, but because you kept replaying what should have burned out long ago. You keep feeding an old flame instead of becoming the wildfire you were born to be. Let's break one of the biggest lies you've been told, that you need to prove your worth, that if you show them how good you are, they'll wake up and come running back. No, folks, you don't need to prove your worth to anyone who made the mistake of not seeing it the first time. The real power isn't in chasing, it's in changing. Because when you change, when you rise, when you stop reacting, they feel it. Here's the secret truth most people don't want to hear. When you finally stop trying, the energy shifts. When you pull your attention back, when you stop feeding them validation, that silence becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, they start to see what they lost. Not because you told them, not because you begged them to, but because your absence now screams what your words couldn't. I'm telling you, folks, your silence is not weakness, it's strategy. It's the storm before realization. They will scroll through their phone, hoping for a message. They'll revisit old photos, not because they miss you, but because your peace will start haunting them. It's a psychological truth. People crave what they can't access, and when you stop being accessible, you become unforgettable. Remember this quote, "The fire that warms you can also consume you. The warmth you gave them will now turn into the burn of regret." They'll think of you when things go wrong. They'll wonder why your energy felt different. They'll replay the times you were there and realize you were the only one who stayed steady when everyone else faded. That's the beauty of detachment. It makes your worth echo in their silence. So, my friends, don't waste another second explaining yourself to people who couldn't see your value standing right in front of them. The best apology you'll ever receive is their silence when they finally realize you've stopped caring. Your job now is to rise, to rebuild, to glow so quietly that your peace becomes the loudest reminder of what they lost. You don't need closure, you need clarity. You don't need revenge, you need evolution. Because the one who walks away thinking they won will one day see the truth, that your absence was the real loss. Type this in the comments, my friends. I rise through silence. And if you're ready to become that unshakable, stoic version of yourself, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because we're just getting started. Number 1. The fire of regret always starts in silence. Your silence will do what your words never could. It will expose their conscience. You know what's wild, my friends? The loudest pain you'll ever cause someone isn't through shouting, blocking, or sending long emotional messages. It's through silence, the kind of silence that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't explain, because silence is sacred power. It's the sound of boundaries being born. It's the moment when the fire of regret quietly starts burning inside them. Imagine this. You were once like a roaring fireplace, giving warmth, energy, life. They'd sit beside your light, soaking in your energy, your presence, your love. But one day, they started taking it for granted. They stopped adding wood to that fire. They got comfortable, careless. And eventually they walked away, thinking your flame would always stay lit, waiting for them to return. But now, the fire's out. The warmth is gone. And suddenly, the cold world around them starts to feel unbearable. That's where regret begins. Not when you speak, not when you try to prove your worth, but when your presence, your warmth, disappears. That's when the silence becomes heavy. That's when they start feeling it. Maybe right now you're asking yourself, what if they never regret it? What if they really don't care? What if they're out there living happily, forgetting everything we had? That fear right there. That's the lie talking. Because no one simply forgets the kind of energy that came from truth. No one walks away from authenticity without eventually feeling the loss of it. They can distract themselves, they can pretend, they can run, but deep down, the mind always remembers what the heart once relied on. You see, folks, people don't regret losing you when you cry for them, when you text them, or when you chase after them. They regret it when they realize they can no longer reach you, when your silence becomes something they can't decode, when you stop trying to fix what they broke. That's when the burn begins, because now they have to sit with themselves. They have to face what they did without you softening the blow. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." You don't need to yell, post quotes, or make them see how much you've changed. You just need to go quiet and let your transformation speak louder than your pain ever did. That's the Stoic way, not reacting, but reflecting. But I know it's not easy, right? That silence feels unbearable at first. You want to explain. You want closure. You want them to understand what they did. Your mind tells you, if I just say this one last thing, they'll finally see it. But they won't, because people can't hear the truth through words. They only understand it through consequences. And silence is the consequence. It's what forces them to sit in the emptiness they created. It's what makes their mind wander at 2 a.m., scrolling through old photos, replaying conversations, asking themselves, why did I let that go? That's not magic. That's psychology. The human brain values what's missing more than what's present. It craves what it can't control. So when you stop feeding their ego, when you vanish from the emotional equation, that craving begins to grow. They'll start checking your stories, your profile, asking mutual friends about you, trying to figure out if you've moved on. That's the start of the burn. The slow realization that the warmth they took for granted is no longer available. And here's the poetic part. You didn't have to lift a finger. You just stood still. You just mastered yourself. Let's break another lie while we're here. The lie that silence means you lost. Society tells you that speaking up, chasing, or proving is strength. But real strength, the Stoic kind, comes from restraint. It comes from saying, I'll let time speak for me. You're not losing by staying silent. You're simply giving truth the space to echo, and echoes always reach further than noise. Remember, they're not used to your silence. They're used to your softness, your understanding, your effort. So when that disappears, their world shifts. It's like walking into a room that used to be filled with music and suddenly hearing nothing but their own heartbeat. That silence becomes unbearable because now they realize the peace they once felt was coming from you. Seneca once said, "He who has great power should use it lightly." And that's what silence is. Power used lightly. You're not seeking revenge. You're teaching a silent lesson. You're saying, this is what life feels like without my energy. And sooner or later they'll feel the temperature drop. Yes, it's hard at first. You'll have nights when you want to break the silence, send that message, post that quote, or try to make them see what they lost. But I want you to remember, Breaking silence too soon is like opening the oven before the bread has risen. You ruin the process. Regret takes time to bake. It's slow, invisible and inevitable. They may act strong, they may move on quickly, but deep down, time always flips the script. The same silence that feels like punishment to you now will become their quiet torture later. Because while you're healing, evolving, and glowing differently, they'll start realizing the truth. They weren't the one who left power behind. You were. So hold your silence like a weapon, my friends. Walk through the discomfort, knowing that every day you don't react, you rise. Every moment you choose peace over proving, you regain control. And every second you remain unbothered, the fire of regret grows a little stronger in their chest. When they remember you, they won't remember the texts or the arguments. They'll remember your calm. They'll remember how nothing they did could shake you anymore. That's what haunts them. Because people crave control, and silence takes it away. Let them burn, not out of hate, but out of realization. Let them feel the coldness of your absence and the heat of their mistake. You're not doing this to punish. You're doing this to protect. You're no longer fighting for attention. You're protecting your peace. So, type this in the comments right now. My silence is my power. Say it to yourself. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you've finally stopped chasing the ones who dimmed your fire. Because the moment you choose silence over reaction, your power multiplies. Stay with me, my friends, because next we're going to go even deeper into the exact psychology of regret and why the ones who left always come back when it's far too late. Number 2, the psychology of regret, why they'll feel it later. Regret is a slow fire. It doesn't burn when they walk away. It burns when they realize what can't be undone. It always starts the same way, my friends. They walk away thinking they're free, thinking the grass will be greener, thinking they'll find someone who makes them feel more alive. At first, they feel light. They convince themselves that leaving you was the right choice. They fill their days with distractions, new people, parties, hobbies, anything to drown out the quiet. But then, when the silence settles in, when the noise fades and the novelty wears off, that's when the fire starts. That's when regret begins to whisper. You see, regret doesn't strike immediately. It creeps in slowly, like a shadow following them home. They won't feel it while they're distracted. They'll feel it when they're alone. It's in those moments between conversations, when no one's texting them, when the laughter fades, and the mind finally has to sit still. That's when your memory starts haunting them, not as a thought, but as a feeling. The peace they once felt around you, the safety in your voice, the calmness of your presence. They'll start craving that again. And here's the thing, they won't find it anywhere else, because it wasn't just you they lost, it was the version of themselves that existed only when they were around you. Imagine this, folks, someone standing by a fire they didn't appreciate. They kept warming their hands, but never realized how much that warmth meant until they stepped away into the cold. The chill doesn't hit instantly. It sneaks up minute by minute until their fingers start to tremble, until their breath turns to fog. That's regret. It's not loud. It's quiet, creeping, suffocating. It burns without flame. And here's the psychology behind it. Humans always overvalue what's new and undervalue what's consistent. It's called the hedonic treadmill. We chase novelty, thinking happiness lies in change. But after the excitement fades, the brain resets. The thrill disappears, and what's left is emptiness. Then it remembers the comfort, the peace, the consistency, you. The thing they once took for granted becomes the very thing they crave when chaos returns. That's why, when you go silent, they eventually start to feel that emotional gravity pulling them back. Because silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of space. It gives their mind room to think, to reflect, to realize. When you stop showing up, they're forced to face themselves without the mirror of your love. And what they see isn't always pretty. They'll start questioning their choices, their ego, their impulsiveness. That's when they start to miss you, not because of loneliness, but because you represented stability in a world that keeps spinning out of control. But let's be honest, folks. This part, this waiting, this patience, it's the hardest. You start to think, what if they don't regret it? What if they never think about me again? You see them posting, smiling, maybe even moving on, and it feels like they've won. But what you're seeing is not truth, it's performance. They're trying to convince themselves they're fine. Because the ego hates admitting regret. The ego hates saying, I was wrong. They'll laugh louder for the world, but cry quieter in private. They'll post stories trying to look happy, but inside, they'll feel that strange emptiness they can't name. It's the kind of emptiness that doesn't go away no matter how many people they talk to, because it's not about missing you. It's about missing peace. And your peace was the thing that once grounded them. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't control when or how they regret losing you, but you can control how you respond to that silence. You can use it to evolve, to rebuild, to become so centered that by the time they realize what they lost, you're already out of reach. That's real strength. But let's break the lie they live with, the lie that says they're happy without you. You can't erase energy, my friends. When you've poured truth, kindness, and love into someone, that energy leaves an imprint. It lives in their memory, and over time, as life teaches them lessons, they'll start to compare. Every new face will remind them of what you were. Every new connection will fall short of the depth you offered. That's not arrogance. That's psychology. We compare the present to the past, especially when the present doesn't feel as real. Still, I know what you're thinking. If they regret it, why don't they come back right away? Because regret and humility don't arrive at the same time. The first burns the heart, the second bends the pride. Most people stay stuck in the fire longer than they should, too ashamed to admit they lost something real. So they'll watch from a distance. They'll check your profile. They'll ask about you through others. They'll pretend they don't care, but that's how regret looks. It hides behind indifference. And that's exactly why your silence must remain. Don't break it. Don't prove anything. Don't run back the moment they show a hint of softness. Let time do the heavy lifting. Let silence deliver the truth. Because time and silence together, they're the most honest teachers life ever gave us. Seneca once wrote, "Time heals what reason cannot, but it also reveals what pride hides." The longer your silence stays unbroken, the clearer the truth becomes to them. What they dismissed, they'll begin to desire. What they ignored, they'll start to chase. So hold your ground. Let the fire burn where it needs to burn. Their regret is not your responsibility, it's their awakening. You've already done your part. You loved, you gave, you stood true. Now it's time to let your absence teach the rest. One day, they'll realize the peace they once had with you isn't something they can replicate. They'll remember your steadiness when others brought chaos. And when that realization hits, it'll hurt. Not because you punished them, but because you evolved. And evolution is the one thing regret can never reach. So say this with me and type it in the comments. My silence is their lesson. Because when you understand that, my friends, you stop waiting for them to regret and start living in a way that makes them wish they'd never let you go. Stay with me, because next we're going to uncover how to stop feeding their comfort and start feeding your own fire. Number 4, the shift of power. When they start wondering where you went. The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start searching. Here's the thing, my friends. There's a shift that happens, a quiet turning of the tide, and most people don't even see it coming. It's invisible, subtle, almost spiritual. One day, you were the one overthinking every text, watching their online status, wondering why they pulled away. Then suddenly, something changes. You stop trying. You stop reaching out. You start focusing on yourself, and that's when it begins. The shift of power. The same silence that once scared you starts to scare them. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The same silence that used to make you anxious now makes them restless. The same distance that once broke you now breaks their illusion of control. That's how power moves, quietly, without announcement. You don't need to post about it or show them how well you're doing. The universe does that for you. Your absence speaks where your presence once pleaded. Imagine this, folks. You were once the sun in their sky, constant, predictable, always shining. They never looked up to appreciate it because they assumed the light would never fade. But now you've set. You've disappeared behind your own horizon, and the world they live in feels darker, colder, emptier. They don't understand it yet, but their mood starts to shift. They scroll past your name and feel something strange, an ache they can't explain. That's the burn of regret starting to flicker. Psychologists call it the contrast effect. When something familiar disappears, its absence amplifies in the mind. They don't realize how peaceful you made their life until they're surrounded by chaos again. They don't see your value until life starts giving them everything but what you once gave. That's how people learn. Not through your words, but through their own discomfort. You see, when you stop showing up, they're forced to confront a truth they've been avoiding. They never had control over you. They just had access. And when that access is gone, when your energy no longer flows toward them, they panic. At first, they act indifferent. They'll tell themselves they don't care, that you're just one person, that they're better off. But deep down, they'll start to wonder. Why aren't they texting me? Why don't they check up on me anymore? Did I matter at all to them? That's the beauty of detachment. You don't have to explain your silence. It explains itself. You've flipped the dynamic. You're not the one waiting anymore. They are. You're not sitting around hoping for closure. They're searching for answers. The energy that once flowed one way now flows back to you. But let me tell you the truth. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens in waves. At first, they won't feel it. They'll enjoy their freedom. They'll believe they've made the right choice. But as time passes, as you remain unshaken, as you don't respond to their subtle bait, that's when they start to feel uneasy. Their ego gets confused because it was used to being fed by your attention. Now it's starving. Marcus Aurelius said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it. The same applies here. Their pain doesn't come from losing you. It comes from realizing they misjudged you. They underestimated your strength. They thought you'd crumble without their attention. But instead, you rose higher, calmer, quieter, and that contradiction eats at them. It's strange how human psychology works. People crave control. They want to feel needed, important, powerful. And when they realize they can no longer control how you feel, their mind starts racing. They go from wondering to regretting, from regretting to reminiscing. They'll replay old moments in their head. The conversations, the laughter, the comfort. The memory of you becomes heavier than your presence ever was. And here's the best part. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to chase, prove, or show off your growth. The universe has already taken your silence and turned it into a mirror. Every time they think of you, they'll see themselves, the way they treated you, the words they said, the moments they let slip. That mirror doesn't lie. It reflects every mistake they made while you were still there. But listen, my friends, Don't let this shift make you cocky or bitter. Stay humble, stay grounded. Stoicism teaches us that real strength isn't about revenge, it's about restraint. You're not here to make them suffer. You're here to rise so high that their regret can't reach you anymore. Because the truth is, once power returns to you, it's not your job to throw it back at them. It's your job to protect it. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." That's what this silence is, your polishing. Every day you stay composed, you shine a little brighter. Every time you don't react, you grow a little stronger. And while you're mastering peace, they're struggling to understand how someone they once had power over became untouchable. So, when they start wondering where you went, don't look back. Don't try to remind them who you are. Let them discover it on their own, piece by piece, in the quiet hours of the night. Let them sit in that confusion, because confusion leads to reflection, and reflection leads to regret. And when they finally realize the truth, that your silence wasn't a reaction, it was a declaration, it'll hit them like thunder after lightning. They'll realize that losing you wasn't just losing a person, it was losing peace, safety, and warmth. They'll regret walking away from the calm in a world full of noise. So hold your silence like a crown, my friends. Keep walking like you never needed to explain yourself. Let your peace be their question mark. Because when you stop giving your energy to those who didn't earn it, you don't just take your power back. You become power itself. Type this in the comments right now. My silence flipped the script. Because it did. You're no longer the one waiting by the fire. You are the fire. You're the one who rose from the ashes they left behind. Stay with me, because next we're diving deeper into how to control that fire, how to master your emotions so completely that nothing and no one can ever make you chase again. Number 5. Emotional detachment. The art of controlled fire. The one who controls his emotions controls the outcome. The one who reacts loses both. Here's the truth, my friends. Emotional detachment is not about becoming cold or heartless. It's about mastering the storm within so deeply that nothing outside of you has the power to shake you anymore. When you detach, you don't stop feeling. You stop bleeding for people who don't care when you're cut. Detachment is not the absence of emotion. It's the presence of strength. It's knowing when to stop pouring from a cup no one is refilling. Imagine a flame inside you, calm, steady, untouchable. That's your emotional power. But when someone toys with your emotions, when they pull away, ignore you, or try to test your patience, what do most people do? They blow on that flame, they overreact, they pour gasoline on every little thing and end up burning themselves instead of lighting the path forward. That's what attachment does. It makes you set yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm. But detachment? Detachment teaches you to protect that fire, to control it, to use it when needed, and to let it rest when it's not. Let me ask you something. How many nights have you sat awake, staring at your phone, waiting for a message that never came? How many times did you check their profile just to see if they seemed happy without you? How many times did you replay what you could have said differently? That's attachment. That's your peace begging to be noticed. And that's the part of you Stoicism was meant to free. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the entire philosophy of emotional detachment in one line. You can't control whether they walk away. You can't control whether they choose someone else, but you can control how you carry yourself afterward. You can control your tone, your energy, your silence. That's power, and when you learn to wield that power with calmness, you become unforgettable. See, people expect a reaction. When they pull away, they expect you to chase. When they hurt you, they expect you to break. That's how they confirm their importance. But when you do the opposite, when you stay silent, calm, collected, you confuse them. They start asking, why aren't they reacting? Why aren't they angry? Did they stop caring? And that confusion, my friends, is the seed of their regret. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You care from a distance. You love without losing yourself. You observe without absorbing. You learn to let things unfold without trying to control the outcome. That's the Stoic art of controlled fire. You're not extinguishing your emotions. You're mastering their direction. The hardest part, though, is the beginning. Because the first time you try to detach, everything inside you will scream. You'll feel the urge to text, to check, to chase. Not because you want to, but because you've conditioned yourself to seek closure. But closure doesn't come from their response. It comes from your realization that you don't need one. You don't need someone to acknowledge your worth for it to be real. Think of it like this. A calm river doesn't lose its depth just because the wind stops blowing. The current still flows beneath the surface. That's how you should move. Calm on the outside, deep on the inside. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling love, pain, or hope. It means you stop letting those emotions dictate your behavior. You learn to pause before you respond. You learn to breathe before you speak. You learn to walk away without slamming the door. And yes, it's going to hurt. The silence will sting at first. The distance will feel like a punishment. But over time, you'll start to notice something powerful. Peace. You'll wake up one day and realize that you didn't check your phone first thing in the morning. You didn't wonder what they're doing. You didn't replay old conversations. That's when you'll know detachment has begun. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's what detachment gives you, power over your own mind. You no longer react to their moods, their words, or their silence. You stop chasing explanations from people who've already shown you who they are. You stop needing validation from people who couldn't even validate themselves. And when you stop needing them, that's when they start needing you. Because nothing is more attractive, more mysterious, or more powerful than someone who cannot be emotionally controlled. When they realize they can no longer manipulate your mood, your attention, your peace, that's when the power dynamic shifts completely. You've become something they can't predict, something they can't read, something they can't shake. You've become untouchable. Detachment, my friends, doesn't make you weaker. It makes you wise. It makes you selective. It teaches you that you can love someone deeply without making them your whole identity. You can care without chasing. You can forgive without returning. You can let go and still wish them peace, because your peace matters more than their opinion. And here's what most people don't realize. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop trying to prove how much you care, you take their control away. The silence they once used to manipulate you now becomes their biggest punishment. They'll try to provoke you, to pull you back into the old dynamic. But you won't bite. You'll smile. You'll walk away. You'll let your calmness speak for you. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free," and there's nothing braver than detaching from what once controlled you. Because emotional detachment isn't about running away. It's about rising above. You're not escaping love. You're escaping dependency. You're not giving up. You're growing up. You're not ignoring them. You're prioritizing you. So the next time your emotions try to pull you back into chaos, remember this. Calm is the new power. Silence is the new response. Detachment is the new revenge. You don't have to fight for peace. You become it. And once you do, nothing they do can disturb it again. Type this in the comments right now and say it like you mean it. I master my emotions, they don't master me. Show them, show yourself, Show the world that your fire no longer burns out of control. It burns with purpose. Stay with me, because next we'll talk about time, how it reveals truth, exposes regret, and heals what your words never could. Number 6. Let time do what your words couldn't. Time is the mirror that shows them what they refused to see when you were standing right in front of them. My friends, you can talk, explain, defend, and reason with someone until your voice turns to dust, but nothing you say will ever make them realize your worth. Only time can do that. Time is the great revealer. It strips away illusions, it humbles pride, and it forces reflection in ways no argument ever could. When you go silent, time becomes your greatest ally. You see, right after they leave or start pulling away, they won't feel anything. Their ego protects them. They convince themselves they've made the right choice, that you'll always be there if they ever decide to return. At first, life feels fresh, new, exciting, but that excitement is temporary. It's like sugar. It hits fast and fades faster. And when it fades, when reality creeps in, that's when time begins to work its quiet, merciless magic. Time, my friends, is not something you fight. It's something you use, because time reveals what emotion hides. In the beginning, they'll fill their days with distractions. They'll chase new people, new places, new energy. But here's the truth. No matter how far they run, time always catches up. And when the noise stops, when the messages slow down, when they sit in a quiet room with no one left to impress, your absence will start to echo. Imagine it like this. You were once the rhythm of their day, the sound in the background they didn't even notice until it stopped. When you disappear, time amplifies that silence. Every morning without your good morning text, every night without your calm energy becomes a reminder of what they lost. Time takes your silence and turns it into sound. That's the sound of regret beginning to form. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Time is a river, a violent current of events, glimpsed once and carried away." That means nothing lasts forever, not their excitement, not their distractions, not their denial. The very thing they thought they wanted will start to lose its shine, and when it does, memories of you will resurface like driftwood on that river. Not because they miss the relationship, but because they miss who they were when they were with you. That version of them, the one that felt calm, grounded, safe, only existed beside your energy. And time will make them see that. But here's where most people fail. They rush time. They can't handle the silence, so they break it. They reach out too soon. They check in. They try to remind the other person of what they had. But every time you do that, you interrupt the lesson. You pull them out of the discomfort they need to feel. You become their relief when you were supposed to be their realization. You see, regret doesn't come when you make it easy. It comes when you make it impossible. You have to let time breathe. You have to give the space between you room to work. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust that it's taking root beneath the surface. That's exactly what your silence does. On the outside, it looks like nothing's happening, but underneath, in their mind, it's growing. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. At first, they might laugh. They'll act like they're fine. But time is patient, and it always exposes what the ego hides. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. The new person isn't as exciting anymore. The freedom doesn't feel as freeing. They start scrolling through old photos, replaying your laughter, remembering the way your presence used to feel. That's when it hits them. Your energy wasn't replaceable. It was rare. And all that time you were silent, detached, focused on your own growth. They were spiraling through confusion, wondering why their world doesn't feel the same. That's how time shifts the balance. It doesn't do it loudly. It does it in whispers. At first, they think it's just nostalgia, but eventually it becomes realization. Seneca said, "Time discovers truth." That's not just philosophy, that's psychology. When the emotional fog clears, the truth always stands out. Time makes them compare. They compare how they felt with you to how they feel now. And every comparison tips the scale in your favor. They start to understand that peace was never boring, that stability was never weakness, that love was never the problem. It was their immaturity that was. And while time is teaching them, it's also healing you. It's reshaping your energy, rebuilding your confidence, refining your boundaries. While they're stuck replaying the past, you're already designing a future they no longer fit into. That's the part they never expect, that by the time they finally regret losing you, you've evolved into someone they can't reach anymore. That's the beauty of letting time do what your words couldn't. It transforms you while exposing them. It heals your wounds while reopening theirs. Because when you detach and focus on your own growth, time starts working in your favor. It shows them the difference between temporary attraction and lasting value. But remember, my friends, you can't control when their regret hits. You can't schedule realization. It comes on its own, quietly, unexpectedly, often when they least expect it. Maybe they'll see something that reminds them of you. Maybe they'll dream about you. Maybe they'll meet someone new and realize it doesn't feel the same. However it happens, it will happen. That's why your job isn't to rush it. It's to live, to thrive, to make your silence meaningful. Because every moment you invest in your growth while they waste theirs on distraction, you widen the gap. You become the one who grew through pain instead of being defined by it. So when that day comes, when they finally realize what time has been trying to tell them, it won't be you chasing their attention anymore. It'll be them chasing your peace. And you won't need to say a word, because time already said it for you. Type this in the comments right now. Time speaks louder than words. Show them, show yourself, show the world that patience is your power. You don't rush lessons meant to change you. You don't chase what time will expose. You just stand still, strong, stoic, and let time burn away their illusions one quiet day at a time. Stay with me, because next we'll talk about what happens when that time finally runs out, when they come crawling back, and how you handle it with the power of a true Stoic. Number 7. When they come. Crawling back, don't react, reflect. The same door they slammed in your face will one day become the door they knock on, and when that day comes, your silence will answer for you. It always happens, my friends. One day they'll come back. Maybe it's a message that pops up out of nowhere. "Hey, how have you been?" Or maybe it's a long paragraph full of nostalgia, apologies, and half-truths. Sometimes they'll even act casual, pretending it's no big deal, pretending they just thought of you. But deep down, you'll know. The fire of regret has finally caught up to them. And here's the thing, you won't even feel the same anymore. Because when they come crawling back, they're not returning to the same version of you they left. They're coming back to someone evolved, someone calm, detached, grounded, and powerful. They're coming back to a version of you that no longer needs their validation to feel whole, and that, right there, is what shakes them to their core. At first, they won't know how to handle your energy. They'll expect the old you, the one who would light up at the sound of their name, who would drop everything to reply, who would let emotions take over logic. But this time, you'll be different. You'll pause before replying. You'll think, not react. You'll feel their presence, but you won't let it shake your peace. That's when they realize they no longer have power over you. Imagine this, folks. They once held the steering wheel of your emotions, thinking they could turn you in any direction they wanted. But now, when they reach for control, they find an empty seat. You've already taken the wheel. You're driving your own peace, your own growth, your own life. And nothing, absolutely nothing, feels better than that moment of quiet realization when you see them trying to catch up to a version of you that no longer exists. But let's be real, when they come back, your emotions will flare up for a second. You'll feel that rush, that temptation to say, "I told you so." You'll want to show them how much better you're doing, how much they missed out on. You'll want them to see your glow-up, your confidence, your calmness. But that's your ego talking, not your higher self. Stoicism teaches us not to prove through reaction, but to reveal through restraint. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." And in this case, the best revenge isn't a clapback, a post, or even showing off how far you've come. It's your peace. It's the fact that you're not angry anymore, that their presence no longer stirs chaos inside you, that you can face them with calm eyes, steady breath, and unshakable energy. That's what truly unsettles them. They'll test you, you know. They'll say things to get a reaction, to see if they still have access to your emotions. But remember, the old you reacted, the new you reflects. Instead of giving them the attention they crave, give them silence. Instead of explaining, give them space. You don't owe them your energy, your time, or your story. You've already told your story through your evolution. And let me tell you something powerful. They won't understand this version of you. They'll sense something different. You'll speak slower, with purpose. You'll move with peace instead of desperation. You'll radiate a calmness that doesn't chase approval. And that, my friends, will make them question everything. They'll wonder when you stopped needing them, when your energy stopped revolving around them, when you became this version of yourself that no longer fits their control. You see, when they come back, it's not your job to make them regret it. You already did that by growing. They'll regret it the moment they realize they can't trigger you anymore, because that's what emotional maturity does. It starves manipulation. It leaves them talking to their own guilt instead of your weakness. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Meaning, you don't need to defend your peace to anyone. Let them think you've changed. Let them think you've gone cold. Let them misunderstand your silence. You're not the same person anymore, and that's the point. And here's the ultimate Stoic truth. Not everyone who returns deserves access again. Some people come back to see if you're still available for the same pain. Don't fall for that trap. Don't confuse their curiosity for care. Don't confuse their regret for responsibility. You can forgive them without welcoming them back. You can understand their pain without offering your peace. You can close the chapter without reopening the book. Because this time, your silence isn't about punishing them. It's about protecting yourself. It's about saying, "I'm not angry. I'm just unavailable for anything less than respect." That's emotional detachment at its highest form, calm, clear, powerful. And you know what's poetic about it all? They'll walk away again, but not the same way they did before. This time they'll carry the weight of knowing they lost someone who mastered themselves. They'll carry the image of you, calm, confident, untouched. And that memory will follow them longer than your presence ever did. That's what I call divine justice, the universe showing them what they took for granted without you ever needing to say a word. So when they come crawling back, don't react, reflect. Don't chase, choose. Don't burn for closure, shine for peace. Your silence is no longer a wound, it's wisdom. Your detachment isn't bitterness, it's evolution. You didn't lose them. They lost their access to a version of you that no longer exists. Seneca said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." That's what you are now, a warrior of peace. No more chaos, no more emotional tug-of-war, just calmness, composure, and quiet power. So the next time they reach out, take a deep breath and smile, not because you want them back, but because you've finally become everything you once needed. That's what they'll see when they look at you now, a reflection of the strength they never appreciated. Say this with me, my friends, and write it in the comments so the universe can see it too. I don't chase, I choose peace. And if you felt that deep in your heart, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Because this isn't just your story, it's your awakening. And believe me, the world needs to see what real emotional mastery looks like. Stay strong, stay calm, and stay silent, because silence, my friends, is where all your power begins. Sometimes holding on does more damage than letting go ever could. Marcus Aurelius. If there's one truth that hits every heart the same, it's this. Moving on isn't easy. It's brutal, confusing, and sometimes it feels downright impossible. Because when you love someone deeply, letting them go feels like tearing a piece of yourself away. But here's the thing, my friends. You're not losing yourself. You're finally meeting the part of you that forgot how strong you are. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because today's message might just be the shift you've been waiting for. Stay with me till the end, because I promise something inside you will click. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a storm, holding an umbrella that's already broken. The rain is cold, the wind is harsh, but you refuse to let go of it because it once protected you. You keep gripping it tighter, thinking maybe, just maybe, it'll start working again. But all it's doing now is keeping you stuck in the storm. That's what holding on to someone who's already gone feels like. We cling to the memory, the fantasy, the maybe they'll come back. And while we're waiting, the rain keeps falling and we keep drowning in what was. Let's be honest, we've all been told the same lies. Time heals all wounds. If it's meant to be, it'll come back. You just need closure. But no one talks about the part where time doesn't heal you, you heal you. Time doesn't fix a broken heart unless you start doing the inner work that time was supposed to do for you. And closure? That's just another word for waiting on someone else to explain your pain when deep down you already know the truth. You see, folks, the hardest part about moving on isn't forgetting them. It's forgiving yourself for holding on so long. It's realizing that maybe you weren't supposed to save that relationship. Maybe it was meant to save you, to wake you up, to strip away the illusions you built around love, to teach you that peace doesn't come from someone staying. It comes from you finally deciding to stop chasing what's gone. And I get it. Your mind replays the good moments like a highlight reel, right? The laughter, the late-night talks, the way they looked at you once. But here's the truth. Nostalgia is a liar. It paints your past in gold while hiding all the rust underneath. It whispers, maybe it could still work, while ignoring all the pain that broke it in the first place. My friends, sometimes what we call love was just our fear of being alone, dressed in hope's clothing. But the moment you stop chasing what left, you begin attracting what's meant. That's what Stoicism teaches. Peace isn't about avoiding emotion, it's about mastering it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. You can't control who left, but you can control how long you keep the door open for their shadow. Let this be the day you stop living in emotional debt, constantly paying interest on memories that no longer serve you. Life isn't asking you to forget them, it's asking you to remember you. The person you were before the heartbreak, before the overthinking, before you convinced yourself that you weren't enough. You were always enough. You just gave your power to someone who couldn't see it. So stay with me, because we're about to rebuild that power, piece by piece. We're not just talking about letting go, we're talking about letting yourself rise again, because you don't need closure. You need clarity. You don't need them to come back. You need to come home to yourself. Type this in the comments if you're ready to begin again. I choose peace. Because when you write it, you claim it. You show it to the world, but more importantly, you show it to you. Now take a breath, press that like button, and let's move together. Not backward, not in circles, but forward. Number 1, the truth about letting go. You will never find peace by rearranging the things that broke you. You find peace by walking away from them. Seneca. Here's the hard truth. They're not coming back the way you remember them, and maybe deep down, they know it too. But what's keeping them stuck isn't love, it's the illusion of what used to be. Because when the heart breaks, the mind becomes its prisoner. It keeps replaying scenes that no longer exist, hoping repetition will rewrite the ending. But folks, that's not healing. That's self-inflicted heartbreak in slow motion. Imagine this. They're standing at the edge of a cliff, holding a rope tied to someone who's already walked away. Every day they tug a little, hoping the other end will pull back. But there's only silence, only wind. Still, they grip tighter, afraid that if they let go, they'll fall. But the truth is, they're already dangling, not over love, but over fear. The fear of being forgotten, the fear that maybe they weren't enough, the fear that letting go means the love never mattered. Let's break that lie right here. Letting go doesn't erase what happened, it honors it. It says, I learned, I felt, I grew, but I refuse to live in yesterday's story. Love isn't meant to trap them in the past. It's meant to teach them how to meet themselves again. Because sometimes the person they're missing isn't even real anymore. It's just the version of that person they built when they were still innocent enough to believe everything would last forever. And I get it. They might be asking themselves, why can't I just forget? Why can't I move on like everyone else seems to? Because the mind doesn't let go when the heart still thinks there's hope. It keeps them locked in a loop, whispering, maybe if I wait a little longer, maybe if I become better, maybe if they realize. But my friends, the mind is a storyteller, and sometimes it keeps telling the same chapter long after the book is over. Here's what most people never say out loud. Letting go feels like death. It's the death of identity, the death of a shared dream, the death of the version of themselves that existed when they were someone's person. That's why it's hard. They're not just losing the other person, they're losing the reflection of who they were in that relationship. That's why it hurts so much to move on, because they're not only saying goodbye to them, they're saying goodbye to the person they used to be. But let's flip this pain on its head. What if this ending isn't destruction? What if it's transformation? What if, like a forest fire, this heartbreak burned away what needed to die so that something truer could grow? Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in the way becomes the way. Maybe the pain isn't blocking their path. Maybe it is the path. Think about this. They've been holding a glass of water for too long. At first it's light, but after an hour, their arm starts to shake. After a day, it feels like a mountain. And if they never put it down, it will paralyze them. That's what emotional holding does. It's not the weight that breaks them, it's how long they carry it. Still, I know what they're thinking. If I let go, it means I never truly loved them. No, it means they loved deeply enough to finally love themselves too. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about understanding it. It's about realizing that love isn't ownership, it's appreciation without attachment. And attachment, my friends, is where most of the suffering lives. They stay attached because their mind lies to them. It tells them, if I stop thinking about them, they'll forget me. If I move on, I'll lose what made us special. But that's not how the universe works. When they stop clinging, they stop blocking what's meant for them. When they stop obsessing, life finally has space to send them something new. or someone better aligned with who they're becoming. Here's another truth. They can't heal in the same place that broke them. Every time they revisit the past, scroll through old photos, replay old texts, they're reopening a wound that was trying to close. The mind loves familiarity, even if that familiarity is pain. That's why people stay in toxic love, because chaos feels safer than silence when they haven't met peace yet. But peace isn't the absence of them, it's the presence of themselves. It's waking up one day and realizing they no longer need a text to feel seen, no longer need closure to feel complete, no longer need the ghost of someone else's love to define their worth. That's where real freedom begins. And here's the most powerful part. When they finally let go, they'll realize something unbelievable. They didn't lose anything. They just made room for growth, room for purpose, room for love that doesn't come with conditions, because sometimes the person they wanted back was never meant to return. They were meant to remind them of who they are. They were the lesson, not the destination. And the moment they stop running after closure, they step into clarity. They stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start realizing, "It happened for me." My friends, the past is not a prison, it's a classroom. And the final exam is whether they'll have the courage to walk out once the lesson is done. Don't let memories become chains. Don't let what's gone define what's next. So here's what I want them to write in the comments right now. I release what's gone. Type it, not for me, but for themselves. Show it to the world. Show it to the version of them that's still holding that rope, bleeding and tired. Because today, they take their first real step toward peace. And stay with me, because in what comes next, we're going even deeper. We're going to uncover why the mind turns love into addiction, why detachment feels impossible at first, and how to break that emotional dependency for good. What's coming might just change the way they see every relationship they'll ever have again. Number 2. Attachment is an addiction, and they're detoxing. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. Here's something most people will never admit. They weren't just in love with the person, they were addicted to them. The constant messages, the late-night calls, the dopamine hit of being wanted, it wired their brain like a drug. And now that it's gone, they're not just missing the person, they're going through withdrawal. My friends, heartbreak isn't just emotional, it's chemical. Every "I miss you" text they send, every time they scroll through old photos, every replayed memory, it's their brain chasing a hit of serotonin, of validation, of the illusion of connection. They think they're craving them, but what they're really craving is the chemical rush that came with being loved by them. Imagine this. They've been drinking the same cup of sweet poison every morning. It made them feel alive, powerful, even high. But now that cup's empty, and instead of finding clean water, they keep licking the rim, hoping the taste will come back. That's what attachment does. It convinces them that if they just hold on a little longer, they'll feel okay again. But peace doesn't come from chasing another sip. It comes from pouring the cup out and learning to live sober from their emotional addiction. It's hard because the brain doesn't want healing, it wants comfort. It whispers things like, check their story one more time. Just look at that old chat, maybe they still care. You can't just block them. What if they reach out? But this is where they must learn the art of emotional fasting. Cutting off the supply to what keeps them stuck. Because if they keep feeding the craving, they'll never starve the addiction. And here's the cruel trick the mind plays. It disguises obsession as love. It says, you're not addicted, you just care deeply. But that's the lie. Love is calm, obsession is chaos. Love gives freedom, addiction takes it. Love heals, addiction keeps reopening the wound. And yet, the reason it's so hard to break free is because the pain of missing them feels more familiar than the peace of being without them. Think about it. When they first fall for someone, their brain gets hooked on unpredictability. That, will they text back, rush, the excitement before seeing their name pop up. That's dopamine. And dopamine doesn't care if something is good or bad, it only cares that it's stimulating. That's why heartbreak feels like withdrawal, because the stimulation stopped, and now the silence feels unbearable. But that silence, my friends, is the medicine. That silence is where healing starts. They might say, "But I can't just cut them off. It feels too extreme." Yet, that's exactly how every addict speaks before change. You can't heal while the source of the addiction is still in reach. Just like someone trying to quit smoking can't keep a pack in their pocket, just in case. They can't keep pictures, messages, and contact open if they truly want peace. They must treat this like detox. The first few days will hurt. The urge will hit. The nights will feel endless, but then, slowly, they'll start breathing again. The truth is, attachment is never about the person. It's about what they represented: safety, validation, excitement, familiarity. But that's not love, that's dependency dressed up as devotion. Real love doesn't make them feel like they're losing oxygen when someone leaves. Real love expands them, not shrinks them. And yes, it's scary to face life without the hit that person gave. It's scary to wake up and not have someone to check on, to send memes to text goodnight. But that space that feels empty now is actually sacred. It's where they'll finally meet themselves again, where they'll learn to sit with their emotions instead of running from them, where they'll realize that the high of being loved isn't worth the crash that follows it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events," and that's the key. The one thing they can always control is what they feed their focus. If they keep feeding the addiction, they'll keep staying stuck. But if they feed discipline through silence, journaling, reflection, their emotions will begin to detox. They'll start craving peace instead of chaos. Here's what I want them to understand. When they stop chasing the high, they start finding the healing. Every urge resisted is a victory. Every time they delete, instead of rereading, they're rewiring their brain. Every time they choose silence over checking, they're proving to themselves that they are stronger than their impulses. And that's how they reclaim their freedom, not by waiting for the addiction to fade, but by starving it one conscious decision at a time. It won't happen overnight. Healing never does. But one day, they'll wake up, see something that used to trigger them, and feel nothing. And that's not numbness. That's peace. That's strength. That's the day they'll realize the addiction has lost its grip. So here's my challenge for them. Don't just survive the withdrawal. Use it. Let the discomfort become proof that they're finally taking back control. Because once they've broken this attachment, they'll look back and realize it wasn't love that held them there. It was fear, and fear doesn't deserve another day of their life. Type this in the comments right now. I'm detoxing from pain. Say it to remind yourself, show it to the world, and prove that you're not running from your healing anymore. You're walking right through it. Because what's coming next isn't another relapse. It's your rebirth. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go deeper into why the pain feels so loud after love ends, and how to finally quiet it for good. Number 4. The lie of closure. They've been sold. No man is free who is not a master of himself. Epictetus. They say closure sets you free, but my friends, that's one of the biggest lies society has ever sold. They tell you that if you could just have one more conversation, one more explanation, one more apology, you'd finally be able to move on. But that's not closure. That's emotional bargaining. It's the mind's way of saying, I'll stop hurting when they make it make sense. But the truth, it may never make sense. And waiting for that moment keeps you chained to a door that's already been closed from the other side. Imagine this. They're standing in front of that door, knocking again and again, hoping someone will open it. But no one does. The lights are off. The house is empty. Still, they keep knocking because the silence feels unbearable. That's what waiting for closure looks like. It's giving the keys to your peace to someone who already drove away. It's expecting healing from the same source that caused the wound. Here's the harsh reality. Closure doesn't come when they finally explain why they left. It comes when you decide that you don't need the answer to move forward. It comes when you realize that peace and understanding are not the same thing. Peace says, I accept that it ended. Understanding says, I know exactly why. But sometimes you don't get both, and that has to be okay. Because closure, as most people chase it, is just another form of control. It's the heart's last attempt to rewrite the story in a way that hurts less. But that's not healing. That's illusion. They think if they can just get that last text, that last apology, they'll feel free. But deep down, they know what that conversation would actually do. It would pull them right back into the loop. Every unanswered why is a hook, and if they keep grabbing it, they'll bleed the same way every time. Let me say this gently but truthfully. The apology they're waiting for may never come. The explanation they think will bring peace might only bring confusion, because when someone breaks their heart, the damage doesn't live in logic. It lives in emotion. And logic can't fix what emotion didn't create, so no matter how many words they get, it will never sound like enough. Closure can't come from another person. It has to come from the moment they decide to stop bleeding for people who no longer care if they're cut. Think about it like this. If they broke a mirror and kept staring at the shattered pieces, waiting for it to reflect clearly again, they'd go mad. The mirror can't fix itself. And even if they glued it back together, it would still be distorted. Some reflections aren't meant to be repaired, they're meant to be replaced. So stop staring into what's broken, hoping to see yourself clearly. Turn away, rebuild, and realize you never needed them to tell you who you are. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's the entire secret to closure. You don't need to control what they did, only how you interpret it. You don't need their permission to move on. You just need to stop giving them the power to decide when your healing starts. Because when you base your peace on someone else's behavior, you'll always be waiting for something they were never mature enough to give. And let's be honest, even if they did come back and say everything you ever wanted to hear, it wouldn't erase the damage. It might soothe the ego for a moment, but it won't rebuild trust. It won't erase betrayal. It won't undo the nights you cried alone, because closure isn't something they give. It's something you create. It's when you stop needing answers from people who weren't capable of giving you honesty when it mattered. I know it's tempting to wait, to keep imagining that what-if moment, the one where they call, admit their mistakes, and finally give you peace. But my friends, that fantasy is a thief. It steals your present by making you live in a future that doesn't exist. It's emotional credit card debt. You keep paying interest on something you'll never own. So how do they actually find closure? By shifting the focus inward, by writing their own ending. They can grab a pen, write a letter to that person, and say everything they never got to say, then burn it, delete it, bury it. Because closure isn't about sending it, it's about releasing it. It's about realizing that the person they're trying to reach doesn't exist in that same way anymore, but they do. They still exist. And they deserve to stop waiting at a locked door when an open horizon is waiting for them to walk through. The truth is, some people leave without ever looking back, not because they didn't care, but because their role in your story was complete. They came to teach you something about love, about loss, about yourself. And once that lesson is learned, the story has to end. You don't keep reading the same chapter expecting a new plot twist. So stop chasing closure, start chasing peace, stop seeking explanations, start seeking evolution, because one day they'll wake up and realize they never got closure, and yet they're fine. That's the most powerful kind of healing there is, and I'll tell you something. When they finally stop waiting, something magical happens. The silence that once scared them becomes their sanctuary. The emptiness that once felt unbearable starts to feel peaceful, because they've finally taken their power back. They stopped waiting for an ending and started living a new beginning. So write this in the comments right now. I close the door myself. Say it, type it, feel it, because that's the moment you stop being the character waiting for rescue and start being the author of your own story. And stay with me, because next we'll talk about how to stop feeding the memory loop, the habit of replaying their face, their words, and their mistakes, and how to finally break free from that endless cycle for good. Number 5. How to stop feeding the memory loop. To be calm is the highest achievement of the self. My friends, have you ever noticed how the mind loves to torture itself with reruns? You're trying to move on, trying to breathe, trying to sleep, but your mind plays the same old movie on repeat. Every memory, every word, every little smile, like a playlist you never asked to be on. It's as if your brain is addicted to replaying the pain, hoping the ending will magically change this time. But it never does. Because healing can't begin while you're still watching yesterday's scenes. Let's be honest. That loop feels almost comforting, doesn't it? Painful, yes, but familiar. There's something strangely safe about replaying moments you already know, even if they hurt. It's because your mind would rather live in familiar pain than face the unknown peace. That's why most people never escape that loop. They don't realize that remembering too much is another form of holding on. Imagine this. They're standing in front of a fire that's long burned out. All that's left are ashes. But every day they kneel, blowing on those ashes, hoping the flames will come back. Instead, they just choke on the smoke. That's what the memory loop does. It keeps you breathing in what's already gone. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you're still rereading the last one, especially when it ended in flames. Now, let's talk about what's really happening inside their mind. When they think of their ex, the laugh, the texts, the trips, the brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that made them feel good when the relationship was alive. So every time they scroll through old pictures or reread old messages, they're not reliving love, they're reactivating addiction. The same neurochemical trap that kept them hooked is now what keeps them stuck. The mind craves those emotional hits, and like any addiction, it doesn't care whether it's healthy or destructive. That's why Stoicism teaches one of its simplest yet hardest disciplines: stop feeding what hurts you. Marcus Aurelius said, "You become what you give your attention to." So if every day they keep feeding their attention to ghosts, what do they become? Haunted. They keep wondering why they feel empty when all their energy is being poured into what no longer exists. I know what they're thinking, but how do I just stop thinking about them? It's not that easy, and they're right. It's not easy. The mind doesn't obey commands. It follows direction. You can't simply tell yourself, "Don't think about them." That's like telling someone, "Don't imagine a pink elephant." What happens? You immediately do. The secret isn't to suppress the thought, it's to redirect it. Every time the memory comes, instead of feeding it more emotion, label it. Name it for what it is. That's just my mind remembering. That's it. No drama, no judgment. When you remove emotional fuel, the fire dies down on its own. That's how detachment begins, not by erasing thoughts, but by not entertaining them. Think of the mind like a garden. Every thought is a seed. The more you water the same memory, the deeper its roots grow. But if you stop watering it and start planting new ones, new routines, new habits, new experiences, eventually the old weeds die out. The brain rewires itself to focus on what's growing, not what's gone. Now, here's something practical. Stop revisiting the triggers. That means no scrolling through their page just to check. No rereading old conversations for closure. No playing songs that keep ripping the same wound open. Because every time they do, they're reopening the door they said they wanted to close. Remember, peace requires boundaries, not with others, but with your own mind. And don't confuse boredom with longing. Sometimes it's not them you miss, it's the distraction they gave you. The late-night texts, the constant validation, the comfort of being seen. Once they're gone, the silence feels uncomfortable. But that silence isn't loneliness, it's detox. It's your system resetting. It's your soul finally catching its breath. One of the best Stoic practices is journaling. When the urge to revisit the past hits, grab a pen instead. Write what you feel. Pour it out. Don't type. Write. There's something sacred about moving pain from your mind to paper. It's how you externalize the chaos so it stops living in your head. Over time, those pages become proof of progress, a record of how far you've come from who you used to be. And when they start feeling strong again, when the loop gets quieter, they'll realize something beautiful. They didn't have to forget the past to find peace. They just had to stop giving it their power. Memories don't disappear. They lose their grip. They become lessons instead of prisons. That's the difference between remembering and reliving. So if you find yourself stuck in that loop tonight, remember this. The mind will keep knocking on the same door until the heart builds a new one. And that door doesn't open to the past. It opens to possibility. The world didn't end when they left. It just paused until you were ready to turn the page. Type this in the comments right now. I'm done feeding ghosts. Write it like a declaration, not just words, but a decision. Because the moment you stop feeding the past, the future starts knocking. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll talk about the Stoic art of detachment, how to rewire the mind not to suppress emotions, but to master them. The kind of detachment that doesn't make them cold, it makes them powerful. Number 6, rewiring their mind through Stoic detachment. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Here's a truth most people run from. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. It's not the art of not caring, it's the art of caring correctly, where their peace doesn't depend on another person's choices. Because real freedom, my friends, begins the moment they stop trying to control what was never theirs to control in the first place. Let's be honest, when someone they loved walked away, it shook them. It made them question everything. Was it me? Was I not enough? Should I have fought harder? That's the chaos of attachment. The mind starts creating 1,000 scenarios, trying to fix what's already broken. But Stoicism teaches that suffering isn't born from what happens. It's born from how we think about what happens. It's not the storm that destroys us. It's the way we stand in it. Imagine they're sitting in a boat in the middle of the ocean. The waves are rough, the sky's dark, and they're gripping the sides of the boat, terrified it'll tip over. But here's the secret. The sea isn't their enemy. It's neutral. It's doing what seas do, rise and fall, move and calm. The only thing they can control is how they sail. The moment they loosen their grip, breathe and adjust the sails, they stop fighting the storm and start learning from it. That's detachment, not ignoring emotions, but mastering the way they move through them. When they're emotionally attached, every action from their ex feels like a message from the universe. A like on a post becomes hope. Silence becomes rejection. The smallest gesture becomes a sign. And before they know it, they're trapped in an emotional chess game they can never win because the other player stopped playing long ago. That's why detachment is powerful. It ends the game entirely. But detachment isn't natural. It's something you train like a muscle. The brain wants control, certainty, validation. It craves closure, approval, and patterns. Detachment begins when they teach their brain to live without those things. It's rewiring the system. It's looking at the phone, seeing no message, and instead of feeling unworthy, saying, "That's okay, my value doesn't shrink in their silence." It's walking past an old memory and feeling gratitude instead of grief. It's seeing them with someone else and thinking, "May they find the peace I'm learning to create." Here's the problem. Most people think detachment means indifference. They think it means cutting off emotion completely. But Stoicism doesn't tell them to feel less. It teaches them to react less. The goal isn't to stop feeling. It's to stop letting feelings dictate every reaction. It's not saying, "I don't care." It's saying, "I care, but I won't let it control me." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." It sounds simple, but it's the core of Stoic freedom, because harm only exists in perception. The breakup didn't break them. Their resistance to accepting it did. Detachment is the shift from "why did this happen to me" to "what is this teaching me?" It's realizing that every event is neutral until they assign meaning to it. Now, I know it's easier said than done. The emotions hit like waves. The mind screams, "But I still love them." And that's okay. They can love someone and still let them go. They can miss someone and still move forward. Detachment isn't about cutting cords with the heart. It's about cutting chains with the past. Picture this. They're holding a bird in their hands. At first, it feels beautiful, delicate, full of life. But if they grip it too tightly, they'll crush it. And if they open their hands, the bird might fly away. But that's what love is supposed to be. Freedom. True love isn't about caging someone. It's about trusting that what's meant for them will stay, and what's not will leave. Detachment gives them back their wings too. The process takes time. At first, it feels unnatural, like they're losing a piece of themselves. But what's actually happening is the opposite. They're reclaiming all the parts they gave away. They start waking up one day and realizing, "I didn't check their profile today," or "I didn't dream about them last night." And slowly, what once felt like chains begins to feel like clarity. Because when they detach, something magical happens. They become magnetic. There's power in calmness. There's mystery in silence. The person who once seemed desperate for answers becomes the person who doesn't need them anymore. And ironically, that's often when the world, and sometimes even the person they lost, starts paying attention. But by then, they'll have realized they don't need validation from anyone to know their worth. So if they're listening to this right now, I want them to remember this. Detachment isn't the absence of care, it's the presence of peace. It's not about closing their heart, it's about protecting it. It's learning to feel everything fully, but hold on to nothing tightly. Write this in the comments right now. I choose calm over control. Because when they write it, they're not just saying words, they're programming their mind for peace. They're telling their soul, "I'm done being tossed by every wave. I am the ocean now." And stay with me, because next we're diving even deeper into what happens after detachment, when the pain starts transforming into something greater: purpose, growth, power. Because the next step isn't just surviving the storm, it's learning how to use it to rise. Number 7. Turning pain into power. The Stoic rebirth. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. Here's the truth, my friends. Pain is life's most honest teacher. You can fake a smile, you can hide behind distractions, but when life breaks you, it breaks you wide open. And in that moment, you meet your rawest self, the version that no longer has anything to lose. That's where transformation begins. Because when you're stripped of everything that gave you comfort, you finally see what was real. You. Imagine this. They're standing in the ruins of what used to be their relationship. Everything looks destroyed. The walls of safety, the plans, the laughter, gone. But if they look closer, there's something glowing beneath the ashes, a spark. That spark is them, their resilience, their will, their strength. The very thing heartbreak tried to bury is the thing that will save them, because every collapse carries a seed of rebirth, and every ending plants the soil for a stronger beginning. Let's be real. People think power comes from success, but Stoics knew better. Power comes from pain. Power is forged in the dark moments where no one is cheering, no one is watching, and no one is saving you. It's built in silence, when they choose to rise, even when their heart feels like it's made of glass. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, loss, and chaos, yet he wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it." Stop complaining. That wasn't coldness. That was clarity. The realization that no pain can destroy you unless you let it define you. Pain doesn't come to punish. It comes to prepare. It builds muscle where weakness lived. It turns softness into steel. And when they stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" they evolve, because every heartbreak, every disappointment, every closed door, it's shaping their emotional armor, not to make them hard, but to make them unbreakable. Think about it. When metal is forged, it's melted first. When a sword is made, it's beaten by fire and hammer. And the stronger it's struck, the sharper it becomes. They're the same. Every sleepless night, every moment they wanted to call but didn't, every tear they wiped alone, that's their forging. That's the universe sharpening them into someone their past self couldn't even recognize. But here's where most people get stuck. They survive the pain but never use it. They heal just enough to feel okay, but not enough to grow. They say, "I'm over it," but deep down, they're just numb. That's not healing. That's hibernation. Real healing happens when they start turning that energy inward, when the effort they once gave to chasing someone becomes the effort they use to build themselves, when the love they once begged for becomes the love they give to their own soul. That's what the Stoics called transmutation, turning poison into medicine. The same energy that made them ache can be the energy that makes them unstoppable, because pain is energy. It's emotion trying to move, and if they direct it toward purpose instead of pity, it transforms. Maybe they'll start working out, maybe they'll create, maybe they'll finally build that version of themselves they always dreamed of but never had the motivation to meet. Whatever they do, the key is this: don't waste the storm, use it. They can't control who left, but they can control what that departure awakens in them. That's the Stoic mindset, turning loss into leverage. They can take the rejection and turn it into redirection. They can take the ache and turn it into ambition. The world doesn't need another person broken by love. It needs someone who used heartbreak as fuel for greatness. So when people ask them, "How did you get so strong?" they'll smile, because they'll know strength wasn't something they found. It was something pain forced them to remember they already had. Here's what I want them to understand. When they rise from this, they won't just be healed. They'll be transformed. The version of them that survives this heartbreak will move differently, think differently, and love differently. They'll stop chasing what's temporary because they've finally met what's permanent, their own peace. They'll stop fighting for attention because they'll realize their worth never needed proving. They'll stop begging for love because they've become the source of it. So if they're hurting right now, if they're still crawling through that storm, remember this: what hurts today will shape who they become tomorrow. Pain isn't the end of the story, it's the part where the hero is made. Every scar will become a sentence in their strength, every loss a line in their legacy. And one day, they'll thank the pain for teaching them what peace never could. Type this in the comments right now: I turn pain into power. Say it, write it, believe it. Because the moment they do, they stop being a victim of the storm and start becoming the storm itself. And before we end, if this message has helped you, if it woke something inside you, then do this for me. Press the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs it. You never know whose life it might shift, because moving on isn't about forgetting them. It's about remembering you. It's about walking out of the fire not burnt, but reborn. And as you move forward, keep this truth close. The pain you survived didn't break you. It built you. Your story isn't over. It's just getting started.